Well, my first guest this half hour isn't afraid of the cold at all. There's so much to do to get outside in a Winnipeg winter that we want to continually introduce you to things that you might not have tried. Skijoring is one of those things. I've certainly never tried it. So picture yourself on skis. You're tied behind a dog, and then you make your way down a beautiful snowy trail. Sometimes we see people skijoring within the city of Winnipeg on the different trails when the river's in better shape, of course. And people send pictures on mornings to us, actually, of skijoring out there. Well, Lauren Volk and his furry friend Skijor, they are both in studio. This weekend, they're going to be holding a skijoring and kick sledding workshop for curious canines and their owners at Spruce Woods Provincial Park. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So who is lying on the ground at my feet here?
This is Sonsie.
Hi, Sonsie. How you doing, sweetheart? What kind of breed is she? She's a pretty big dog.
Well, I don't do breeds, but she's German Shepherd and Husky, which is a nice mix.
How long have you been skijoring with her?
She's 2.5,
Yeah.
but I skijored for 11 years with her older brother and 3 years with the dog Maggie before that. So,
can you skijor with any size dog? I mean, there's obvious need for size here. However,
well, officially, your dog has to be 26 pounds or higher, but we've even had Jack Russells in the club. Their owners skied very well, and the Jack Russells were under the impression that they were big skijor dogs. That's a Jack Russell for you.
It sure is, isn't it? Yep. Little dog's big attitude. So when you're saying officially 26 pounds, is this when you look at the rules for the sport?
I suppose, although in North America and Europe, racing's a big deal, and I suspect that's where it comes from. But that's sort of the recommended weight. My dogs tend to come in at about 50 pounds.
Sure. And how much of the pulling are they actually doing when you're on your skis behind them there?
Well, one of the things we tell people when they come to the in-service is if they think they're going to be hauled down the trail while they do the Queen Elizabeth wave, they're in the wrong place. Your dog should never produce more than about 40% of the power. Probably on a good run, maybe 30% on the flat, 40% climbing hills, and a lot less going downhill.
Okay, hills.
So you're always...
You're working.
You're working.
Yeah. Hills you're mentioning. How does skijoring work? Are the courses varied, or tell me a little more about the sport?
Well, we use the skate ski trails. Our home base is Birds Hill Park, where the park has given us access to Group Use 1 and the Spruce Trail. We like to go to Morden, Shannondale, where they have very wicked hills, and that's a lot of fun. It takes a little training to make sure the dog learns to run to the left and to not stop and sniff on the trail.
Wow, man, that would be a lot of work with the dog. What else is key to being successful at this?
Well, basically it's practice. We have language that we use. A lot of it's the same as the people who drive horses use, and you're consistent with it, and you train a lot. We're out 4 or 5 times a week. 4
or 5 times a week. For how long do you skijor when you're out?
Well, Sonsie's about 5-kilometer dog. We've had, my old guy was 15. He liked to go 15.
Wow.
So we're out for an hour. We meet the club, Snow Motion, which has been around for 23 years, meets every Sunday at Birds Hill Park or somewhere else. And we're usually out for about an hour and a half.
How many people in the club?
This year, 53.
Wow, lots of people.
Yes.
That's fantastic. How did you get into this in the first place?
A long time ago, I adopted a dog named Maggie, who was 2.5 years old when we got her and not very manageable. She lived wild, and I happened to see the Snow Motion people out at Birds Hill Park, and I thought, how much trouble can Maggie get in on an 8-foot leash? Well, as it turns out, quite a bit. But that's when I started doing it, and we've been doing it ever since.
You are obviously having an event coming up where you're going to sort of be promoting skijoring. What's your love of wanting to share this with folks?
Well, it's just such a great way to enjoy the wilderness. I taught biology for 35 years. I love being out in the forest. I'm a great believer in dealing with nature deficit syndrome, and anything we can do to get people out of the house. Make ourselves the Canadians we were 2 generations ago when we were really outdoors people.
I'm writing all of that down because I think that's awesome. Nature deficit syndrome.
Yes.
Yes. And
I didn't invent that. A writer named Richard Louv did.
Yeah, I love it. And make ourselves who we were 2 generations ago.
Yes.
So true. When did we become so afraid of it?
And think about the time we discovered television.
Yeah, pretty
much.
much.
More than 2 channels.
Oh, the 80s. Kick sledding. You're also teaching. I'm going to tell people the details of the event you're having, but what is kick sledding?
Well, in skijoring, you have a dog on 8-foot gangline wearing a dog sled harness, which Sonsie's wearing right now, and you're skate skiing with cross-country skis. For people who don't ski, and especially if you have bigger dogs, you can have a kick sled. And kick sleds were invented in Finland by a company called Esla. And generally in Finland, people stand on one runner and kick, and you put your child on the seat or you put the groceries there and you can fly along. What we've done in North America is converted them over to be small dog sleds for 1 or 2 dogs. And one of the advantages of that is that long before I can be on my skis, the kick sledders can be kick sledding on the sidewalks in the city and the parks, because when they come to bear patches, they can simply pick up the sled and carry it over.
It's interesting you mentioned, I'm just backing up for a sec, because you mentioned skate skiing, of course, is instead of a forward motion cross country skiing, you're almost going side to side, like you kick out wide.
Well, it's faster, and frankly, it's unethical for us to be skiing on the regular groomed trails because, well, we don't allow people to walk on them. Why would you allow a dog to walk on them? So at Birds Hill, we are given the skate ski trails.
Her harness actually is. I thought it would be sort of more of a full vest look. It's more just a strappy harness that you use.
Yes, Sonsie wears.
She's sleeping, by the way.
It's early for her.
Yeah.
Sonsie wears an H-back harness because she has a very thin build. Most people or most dogs will wear an X-back. And those can be purchased locally at Canvasback Supply out in Lockport.
Cool.
And if you have a dog who has a rather odd-shaped Prairie Dog Supply, actually at Lockport makes custom harnesses.
Where can you skijor in Winnipeg? Like, where can you do this where someone's not going to go, hey, you can't do this here?
Well, Birds Hill Park, of course. We like to go out to La Barriere Park and go on the river. Once you're in the club for a bit and we deem you safe, we'll invite you to the Friday night runs in the Assiniboine Forest in the pitch black with flashing collars and headlamps. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? 24 kilometers per hour down narrow, dark trails with the occasional deer. Just good fun, really.
That's what I was going to ask you. I have 2 last questions. One was, how fast can you go?
Well, Sonsie's not a speedster, but my older dog, Beowulf, we would race, and he loved races. He saw the flags, heard the countdown. We'd come out of the chutes, we'd hit about 34 kilometers per hour and then average about 24 for the remaining 5 kilometers.
It's amazing. What's the fastest you've ever heard of anyone going with their dog?
Well, Beowulf and I at our prime could do a 5-kilometer race in 14 minutes, 16 seconds. The best can do it in under 8 minutes.
Wow.
So they're probably flying at over 30 kilometers per hour the whole way.
Sonsie looks more like she's going for the Netflix snuggle record right now at my feet.
Sonsie's more of a touring dog. She's very interested in everything
adorable.
in the forest, but she does hold her pace. And
if people want to sign up and head out to Spruce Woods for the workshop this weekend, how can they still sign up and take part?
Well, as of yesterday, there were 2 spots left open, and you can sign up on the Spruce Woods website. It's free. This is just something the park does, so there's no cost. And let Jennifer Bryson out at Spruce Woods know what size your dog is, because that's how we roughly estimate the harness.
Super. So people can find out that information by getting in touch with the right places. Yes. Lauren, thanks for coming in. Have fun. Have all kinds of fun this weekend.
My pleasure.
And maybe you'll see me out there, although Doug's got really short little bulldog legs. He weighs enough. I don't think he could quite get me down the path.
If he'll pull you on the leash, he'll pull you in harness.
Man, that's intriguing. Lauren Volk's been with us in studio, a skijorer and the co-coordinator of Snow Motion, a club for lovers of canine-based winter activities. His dog is Sonsie. Bye, Sonsie. Good girl, buddy. Having a morning little rest. They're going to be holding a beginner's workshop. If you're interested and you've been listening to us with skijoring and kick sledding too at Spruce Woods Provincial Park on Saturday.